You need to watch the podcast.
That. Yeah.
Are you watching the studio?
No.
Oh, it's Apple TV.
And we don't have Apple TV. We keep getting told off for this. Yeah, because everything good's on Apple TV. I did to do a brief review of the TV show Severance, so I don't talk about this or work anymore.
I actually I didn't watch the last kind of couple of episodes. I'm not quite sure whether it was the last but one or the one before that, but it was a Friday night. I'd had a couple of glasses of wine. It was 20 minutes from the end of it, and I just turned to everyone and went, I don't want to watch this anymore. Do you mind if we just switch this off? And I went, oh, thank God. So I thought, like, you were, this is...
There's one really tedious episodes in the series.
A great one for the poster that just like, you know, I don't want to watch this anymore.
And as a matter of principle, I just didn't watch any more episodes after that either. There was one episode before that where they were on a camping trip where I actually was on the verge of fast forwarding through scenes because I was so fucking bored. So basically, like, the first season is actually really quite dark and interesting. By the second season, it's gone full Lost. I believe that they know what they're talking about. It's gone all conspiratorial, and it's really, really boring. It's really pretentious. There's lots of things where they obviously thought that it's incredibly sort of moody and meaningful, but it's actually almost like an SNL sketch. And I just found myself wanting to throw things at the TV. Then I gave it a go because everybody, like a couple of people said, oh, it's brilliant, it's brilliant, it's brilliant.
The first series is brilliant.
The first season, to be fair, like, so
It's right.
so I'd watched the first episode of the first season and couldn't be bothered watching anything more, but then people persuaded me, no, stick with it, it's really good. And I did really enjoy the first season after that, I did. And then the second season, I just found myself thinking, everybody involved in this needs to be beaten with sticks with nails in them.
Yeah, well, I've just wondered how offended I should be because everybody either tells me to watch it or just is very surprised I haven't seen it and says it's like, oh, that feels like this the kind of thing you're into.
I've been talked about that one.
That's why I didn't watch Game of Thrones for fucking years, motherfucker, because you were all telling me that it's the kind of thing I would love, and I'm like, just because I'm weird and it has dragons in it doesn't mean that I have to watch it.
Bill's didn't make you wait for the dragons as well, the cunts.
The one I've had is always that I bet it's like Twin Peaks. And I was like, do you mean Twin Peaks positive or Twin Peaks derogative? Because I mean, that's like, exactly.
Fucking hate Twin Peaks.
First season, you're like, oh my God, this is one of the greatest pieces of television ever made. The start of season, first episode out of the gate, you're like, what the bloody hell's happened to you? And it goes off a cliff way, way fast. So yeah, I've had that.
It thinks that it's clever and artful and poignant, but it's actually pretentious and boring, overlong, stupid, and...
It can be a fine line, that's really nice.
I was going to say, that must be why people think I'm going to enjoy it. And like, love it.
So, what I said, I think it's clever, but it's actually quite...
Oh, dear.
The idea is amazing, and the first season is really good, but you just totally get the idea that they didn't really know where it was going.
Well, I think what is far more likely to be the case, and that's kind of where I was bringing it up actually, is that I think what's happening now is that on a producer level, that the minute anything catches, it's like it elongate it out because everyone's like terrified now. Like, I mean, Apple TV was just this little quiet thing no one gave a fuck about until the show came out, and it's, oh my God, we finally have something they're discussing. And I think that he probably had right, this is a plot, it's going to be here to here and it will finish here. It's like, no, you need to make this for like 7 seasons.
No, I saw an interview with someone, I can't remember if it was one of the producers or what.
Yeah.
But he was saying, you know, when we started out when this, we didn't know if it was going to take off or folk would like it or whatever. So we had to make, you know, we had a plan for the characters, but we didn't know if it was going to be like, you know, a 2 series or a 12 series. And when he said 12 series, I knew that this is just going to go down the toilet. Yeah. Like,
the question is, did you know what any of it was about, or did you just have this idea? And
They will have known.
No, they didn't with Lost. They fucking didn't have any idea.
That's how he does this.
Yeah.
And I just did a TED talk saying that before he decided it was like a good thing. He was like, the mystery box approach.
Being a terrible.
I was
like, it's a
hoping,
good thing.
I was hoping that they would have just had
actually.
a 3 series plan.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I reckon that they probably did, and then they've come in and said, "Now you need to make." It happened with Stranger Things, where like I mean, that didn't knock my socks off, but I can appreciate it. And pretty organically, at the end of the second season, they're like, "That's your finish." I think it's the high school dance, and I'm like, if the minute this goes on any further, like you know that where would you go with it? What would you do with it? They go that's your ending, and then Netflix are like, Kevin Spacey is just Kevin Spacey. Could you we don't have House of Cards anymore. Could you please keep this?
How do we
going?
turn that into a cinematic universe?
Right. Yeah.
15 minutes.
And that's something as well. I think people need to be a little bit more vigilant about that, because that needs to be kind of like, well, this is what we're talking about, and you guys are kind of watching and go, okay, right, I can see what you're doing now, fuck you. And I think that's a good thing. I think the audience shouldn't be like viewed as being dickheads for as having a bit of standards to you got to live up to, you know.
Not everything needs to have 19 fucking seasons. It's okay. And
Because it's the art thing. It's like that's it. An artistic story is a beginning, middle, and end. You tell your story, it's got a purpose. Whereas here, we're not making this to tell a story. We're making this just to have content for people to consume.
do you know what's infuriating is that they'll simultaneously drag out some dog shit like this and fucking scrape it across everybody's carpet for a year. At the same time, they'll then take something like Chaos, which was sensational, and just fucking cut it off. No, we're not going to make a season 2. What's wrong with you people? It's fucking brilliant. That's one of the best things I've fucking seen in years on TV. It's absolutely sensational, and it needs a season 2. But yeah, with Severance, I just got the feeling whatever it is that this is meant to be about, I don't think you've actually thought about it enough in advance, and now you've got all of this stupid weird shit that you're going to have to connect, and I just don't give a shit. I'm bored. It's not entertaining to watch. I don't fucking care. Stop it.
I'm trying to like defend the writers, because I feel they don't deserve it, because they're taking the money for it, I suppose. But it's the point that now you would go in and you would say to someone like your investor, like, and then it ends with this, and it's going to be the most satisfying finish you've ever seen in the movie theater. Everyone's going to be crying their eyes out. It's going to be emotionally fulfilling. People will be talking about it for generations to come. They will just go, yeah, but we need more content though. Like, so it's like you're talking to the cross purposes of like you can't. Now nothing can get made because that's what's driving the content, and we've allowed that to happen. So the audience is to take some
It's lovely when you get like little one-offs and that are just like a single season of something. So I rewatched a greatly sci-fi thing on Netflix just last week called Bodies. I think it's based on a graphic novel, and it's just like it's one thing, one story, 8 episodes.
Yeah.
No no need for anything more. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I think that and like the anthology stuff tends to be like what I prefer. If you have like a nice little one-off 8-episode run, or like an anthology, which is like a standalone episodes, that format is that's the
Bring back a miniseries.
the good shits there. Yeah, actually, ITV, just go back and make what you used to do. You were really, really good at making the miniseries for fucking years. I don't know what's happening now.
Everyone was going about that Adolescence. It was on Netflix. I haven't watched that either, just because
We haven't seen it yet either, but everyone keeps telling us to watch it.
It was just everyone's reaction of like, oh my goodness, I think the boys are a problem. And I'm like, where the fuck have you been? What do you mean? How is this? Like, I'm sure. Why did you do it? Well, like, I'm sure this is all. I'm sure it was very well done, and like the.
So you can do that accent over my words.
No, it's cultural appropriation, yeah. But okay, it's just a minute as well.
And Manchester, because I'm from around there.
But it was just like Keir Starmer being like, I've watched some television, and let me tell you. Like, what the fuck is it? How did you not know it?
This is how we do social change in the UK now. You have to have your TV show first. Your like dark drama about it, like the post office.
So
one.
Toby Jones film.
And then you do something about it after that.
The Liver Pattern guy that he's the writer on it as well as the actor.
Right.
He's great. He's really good. I represent him. He's been in some bad films, but he's always really good.
He's always.
So I think you're totally right. I think that is a kind of, he's thought that, going like, why is no one talking about this?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we've got to go make a really decent.
I don't really.
Because he's over delivered it. It was like, you didn't actually have to do all these things in like one take. But that's become part of like the marketing on it as well. Because I think that's what I understand. It's like they do it in like one. It's almost be sat in like the interview room or something like this. Every episode is like 3, 2, 1, go, and it's shot like a play, and they shot it like umpteen times.
You see stuff in the TV like that all the time.
Yeah,
That's light.
there's been a lot of chat about this, but I just can we just say Alfred Hitchcock did that with Rope fucking 70 years ago. Peep Show was doing versions of the exact same thing where everything was following the characters. All of that would have well done a thing called Easy Rig.
When TV first came out, you didn't tape it. You did a lot of it live. Like a lot of the early soap operas were done. It was like 3, 2, 1, go,
Yeah.
and then you had to just do it. So it's good that you're doing that, and I think it's maybe just a boost for the marketing. But they seem to have over delivered. The main point though is just fucking crazy the way that just like
reaction.
I can't believe that this Andrew Tate guy might be a problem. It's like what the fuck? What are you? What?
It's the same feeling. It's the same feeling over and over and over again. I'm doomed to have the same feeling for the rest of my life of 5 years after I've started raising the alarm about it. And people have gone oh, you silly little thing. They go, have you heard? I'm like,
And then it's also then you get into the weird space, and that happens quite a lot with major things. Like even what happened with the whole Israel-Palestine, when that really has been kicking off for years, but when it really kicked off, that thing of are we now having these opinions because we care, or is this a social capital thing? That's because this is where this show falls perfectly into that box of right, so your canon is that you didn't really give a shit about any of this until you watched this TV show. Are you going to continue giving a shit about any of this after the TV show is no longer a social talking point? Because my experience is you're not going to give a flying fuck in 6 months' time. And that's another kind of one of those, it's good. I mean, the post office is a good example of that, actually. It still occasionally is binking up in the news, but everyone was up in arms about that for 2 weeks. I don't know. But that's the thing. It's all right, Toby's done now. Right, that was a good
Glad we fixed that.
Glad we sorted all that out. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, that's a bit of a worry. I remember saying this at the time about how I get the argument that it can generate attention, but the journalists, the media need to do the follow-up work, and that's where we're falling down.
And one of the reasons that it's not been in the press is because effectively the inquiry is now over, and therefore there isn't content. So you're back to content.
Yeah, we just make content now. We don't actually have. We don't care about anything. This is just content, by the way. All this is content. None of it actually matters.
There's a great Glaswegian band called Slime City.
It's a great name.
They're absolutely fantastic. I was actually at a concert for somebody else, and they were the support band, and I liked them so much I went to see them live playing their own gig. But they've got a song called Nobody Cares About All Your Content.
I'll look them up as I go around.
Michael, and Shoe.
There was a bit in the slight spoiler alert here, but there's a bit in the last episode of second series of Severance where they have this marching band comes in, and it's we could have absolutely done without it. It was completely unnecessary and doesn't really fit the tone or anything at all. But I just felt like this is just made for GIFs for social media. And of course I went and this guy and I was looking through and all the Americans are oh wow, this is so fire and all this, and all their GIFs are folk dancing with the band behind them, and it's it's just so pathetic. It's just
It's so transparent.
You've also made me absolutely 100% comfortable with my decision to not continue to watch it.
Okay, I don't have to bother now because I would take your word for it. That it's
watch the first series.
Yeah, just
forget about it.
And just leave it.
Get a free trial from Apple.
It's a lot of his kind of high concept TV shows. There's loads of them for a while. It was really popular. You're Lost and all that, and
I think things like that are better if they have films a standalone film. I don't particularly like Ricky Gervais, but there's a great film that he did. It's The Invention of Lying, and I really enjoyed that. It's he kind of wakes up in a world where nobody has ever lied. Everything is people only tell the truth, and as the world's first liar, he could just tell people, "Well, I'm a doctor, and so you've got to have sex with me," and things like that. Do you know what I mean? And it works, but it works for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
you don't need.
It's what? Oh, if the world was like this, I'm willing to give you a couple of hours of my time. So,
but I just thought of film. You think of imagine you woke up.
2 hours is too long. 79 seconds is all it requires.
I think it was a German thing. Maybe it was a thing called The Platform. And
no, it's Spanish or Brazilian.
No, so this was years ago we watched it now, and I remember the finish of it. So broadly, the idea is that these guys, these people don't know each other. They wake up in a vertical concrete block, and every so often a concrete platform arrives on their floor to deliver food, and it goes up. and no one knows what the fuck's going on. It's absolutely brilliant. It's brilliantly made. And then at the end, one of the guys is like, I'm going to get on the platform and see where it goes. And there's a whole lead up to this. And I remember as it was going up, going, cut to black, cut. Do not explain it. Please go to credits. And they did. And it was the happiest I'd ever felt. And it's another one. Because that now, of like, and it wasn't done in a tune in next week. It was just, what did you, it put it right back to the audience to go, you guys decide. And then a couple of years later, I saw Platform 2, Netflix, and I was just like, fucking, oh!
Spanish. I feel like it really is there. It's like the platform's full of food and it descend down the levels. And if everyone just took their fair share, there would be enough food for everybody. But obviously nobody does. So the people, if in every couple of weeks you change level and it's all random. So if you end up on a lower level, you're just going to die. You're just going to starve to death because the food will never reach you. And everybody knows this, and everybody knows that they can be at that lower level at any time, and they still, if they're up there, they'll eat like kings. It's really good. It's really not groundbreaking, so we're coming to, but it's very well done.
really interesting.
It's a really cool idea, but it was just the way that it stuck to its guns of basically what's at the top is irrelevant. It does that the way that and then it left it up to the audience to decide what was all that about, and this is why I've never watched the sequel. It could be fine, but I just thought part of what makes it work is the fact that it's up to you to decide what that piece of art meant. And it's why that things like Severance I never quite understood, because it's like, well, if you're just pursuing the answer to all this means, the mystery box type of thing doesn't. If you decide,
That's the thing. Because so to let discuss it a little bit properly, rather than me just saying that everybody involved in it needs to be hit with a stick with a nail in it, although they do. Like the idea that basically you're a different person and work you don't know your outside self too. And they just call them innies and outies. But the thing that drove me nuts about it was that it was blatantly obvious that they weren't actually doing any real work. They're just fannying around on computers, sort of identifying. So the inference says maybe it's some sort of experiment somehow. And that was really interesting to me, that these people don't realize they're actually in some sort of experiment to see whether, like, what will happen, almost like a Big Brother house, if you know what I mean, where they've got no outside context for anything and they're almost like children, but they've got grown-up cognitive. But they're a brand new person. Once you've had the severance chip put in, you're a brand new person inside. You don't know who you are or anything. You've got language. But you don't have you don't have any memories or history or anything. That's really terrifically interesting. That's absolutely brilliant. How can we spoil that? And it's just like the episodes are so slow. Like the first season, very interesting, although it was a bit slow. But the second season, ridiculous, very, very slow. And there's lots of scenes where people are sort of gazing meaningfully, and it just made me want to kick my telly in. But ultimately, it starts to be this sort of, the secrets of the corporation of this, that, and that. I'm like, just like, you're not going to make it that actually it was all just an experiment to see how people would behave. It's going to be something, and I found it so irritating.
It's when everyone really got, this is going to be dumb.
Yeah, there's no possible way that you are going to have a solution to this that is going to be satisfying, is my feeling. But everybody's so bought into it, you can't, nobody wants to admit that it's shit.
This is what happened with the second season. This is Twin Peaks, because I was fascinated when I was watching it. I didn't know anything about the making of this, and I was like, well, what the fuck's happened here? And yeah, apparently the intention from David Lynch was that the murder was never going to be solved. That he said that's not the point of what this show actually is. And then they were saying that in order to this traditional TV brain, they have to anticipate the answer, and we have to eventually give them that. And he's got no, that's completely missing the point of what we're actually trying to do here. And I think that's the thing with the mystery box. It's like, to sort of have it's up to the audience to decide is really good, but lying to them and stringing them along like you're eventually going to be told, here's how all this fits together. Unless you have a really, really good Sherlock Holmes, Hercule Poirot level of finish that all of it fits, you're fucked. And it's why you're saying you're much better doing those kind of high concept things as kind of wee hour and a half, 2 hours
Yeah.
kind of experiences as opposed to this long range stuff.
It's like that feeling you're being tricked. Like
Yeah.
when they sort of send you down a rabbit hole that it's just to put you off the scent.
Yeah.
I just feel like, well, you're just taking the piss out of me at that
I
point.
think you can get meta with it. I think there would be a way to do that and then loop it into something else where that could be quite a clever commentary on that kind of writing concept or whatever, but they never do that. It is just drag it out for as long as possible. And you're like, okay, I'm learning more things about how the thing works, but I don't know why the thing works. And that tends to be the thing the audience find
There are
satisfying.
practical problems sometimes that arise in these shows, like the actor gets done for like some crime or whatever, they get arrested for driving drunk or something, and then they get booted from the next series and they have to like rewrite it all. So sometimes that kind of stuff happens, but you should have it so tight that you can get it done in one go.
Yeah, I think that's it. That again comes back to that. You don't have that problem if you're doing it in a more compact time period. If your contract's on for 2 years to get this done, that's out of the way. Whereas, if you haven't to lock someone in for like a 10-year fucking deal because you're still making Stranger Things and everything. I mean, I think they have the DH.
If it's 30 years old,
Say, like, if you like, these kids have been. Oh, I mean, Millie Bobby Brown that was where she debuted in, wasn't it? And I mean, she's like must be about 25 or something now, I'm guessing, mid-20s at least, maybe. I mean, definitely, she's been in movies where she's like a grown-up, certainly not like, I don't know, it is what it is. But no, thank you for saving time, for not having to slog through 2 seasons of stuff. I might take a look at it. There's other things in Apple as well we get recommended all the time. You mentioned actually one earlier on, but I've already forgotten the name of
The studio.
That's it.
Silo is really good.
Yeah, everyone keeps telling me that Apple TV seems to be like where it's at in terms of the.
You watch Slow Horses?
None of it. We don't. We've never have had Apple TV. So
Slow Horses is pretty much all I do. I'm going, making it. When's the next series? When's the next series? When's the next series? Because it's all
just
absolutely
take a week off work and get the free week of Apple TV. Watch it all. So leave the house.
Silo is good. So Silo is one where it's sort of similarly, there's a slight element of what the fuck is going on here and is it mystery box, but it is absolutely clear that they've got a clear solution and it is really, really good. The main actress in that is absolutely fantastic. I just can't say enough good things about Slow Horses. I have rewatched every season multiple times. It's utterly brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The books are fantastic as well. I just like the whole thing. I absolutely love. Studio's great. It's all about a Hollywood studio, and it's like sensationally vacuous.
And there's other things we seem to. One thing I'd like to see come back a wee bit is showing the audience at the start and establishing that you can actually almost know the answer to the mystery, but you still get the satisfaction of watching the mystery be solved is a sort of plot that we don't really do anymore. So like in Nightmare on Elm Street, like, will we know, we were shown quite immediately what's up. The why of it is the critical mystery is why. Yeah. But yeah, exactly that format rather than
Watching Columbo work out why he's right.
Yeah, so you probably don't have to show the full detail of it, but probably saying there to assure the audience, we have a finish, we've got something here, is to probably at the front end of it do something to demonstrate, no, this isn't going to be that bollocks. You will get a conclusion to this eventually.
It was the state of the world so completely depressing right now that we have veered right off and just started talking about television to not talk about anything really.
Anyway, let's talk about our falsely convicted nurse.